Hey everybody, welcome back to the Speed Shop. We're going to get into work on the Lexus a little bit more and basically see if we can get these valves sealed up. I got the valve compressor, I bought some lapping compound and some lapping tools. And we're gonna see if we can get these things to clean up a little bit. And hopefully we can get them to seal better again. But that's what we're gonna do on this video, is pull the valves and do some lapping on them. See if we can get them to seal. All right, so I got a couple of the valves out now. I got, it's 4 of the exhaust valves out. And I'm gonna speed it up. I'm gonna pull the rest of them out so everybody can watch. Got those all out now. Man, talk about the smallest little keepers. Look how small those things are. Actually, you know what? I'll be right back. All right, so this is what I'm used to seeing on normal, like V8 engines. Look how big those things are compared to those little teeny tiny things. I mean, I thought when I first took the first one off, I swear it was just a piece of dirt that fell off there. And I realized it was the retainer, the valve retainers. So, yeah, look how tiny those are in comparison. That's a normal V8 one compared to a little tiny dual red cam Toyota engine. Pretty crazy how they can be so different. But just want to share that. So those are all out now. I'll probably get some Dicam and put them on there and see how bad they are. Like if the seats are bad to the point where they can't be just lapped. And we'll go from there. All right, so as you saw before, we got all the valves out now. What I want to do next is I'm going to take some of this, I got some 1x2 square tubing up here. Somewhere up in here, right there. And I'm going to make an apparatus, basically, that allows me to set this down on this edge here without touching these guides for the cam bearings or the cam clamps, whatever you want to call them. So that way it keeps it elevated on this edge here. So I can set this down and have it upright to start lapping the valves. So I have the lapping tool here. I got some lapping compound over there. And so yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna build a little square, basically, a little tool to use to keep this off the ground, or to keep it elevated and put it on the ground. To put it flat so I can do that better. Let's put it that way. I can't talk today, I don't know. All right, so this is what I made for the head to stand on, or to stand the head up on. So just a simple little triangle, just real simple. I put some padding on it too, just so it protects the aluminum. So let's get her on there and start lapping some valves. One other thing I wanted to show you is just how the valves look. This is one I've already cleaned up. See how it's down to the metal and it looks better? Now look at the carbon buildup on this one exhaust valve. In comparison to, oh man. So if you compare the two, see how built up that is? If I can get the focus. See the difference? Pretty crazy, huh? Let's hope I didn't just mess this valve up by dropping it. All right, got all the valves all cleaned up now. So all the carbon's off of them, and the intakes weren't very bad at all. I mean, the valve head, they had carbon on it, but the back side wasn't really that carboned up because they get sprayed with fuel, so they stay kind of clean compared to, all the heat from the exhaust and the carbon being, expelled from the engine gets caught up on here and on the exhaust side. So now, next thing we gotta do is I'm gonna clean up these areas here with like a light or a softer brush, and just to clean up the areas and see how bad these seats are bad. And I mean, they definitely have a ridge there on some of them, but I don't know if that's supposed to be there or if it's not. So, yep, this is gonna be the next thing we do is clean those up. All right, so I almost forgot to record this, but so I got some lapping compound on there. Just using magic. I couldn't find any dicam or dicam, however you say it. So it was always dicam when I was a machinist back in the day. But I just used magic marker, just used a Sharpie, and just did the valve seat. So now I'm just gonna stick this on here, stick it down in there, suction cup it, and yeah, start moving it back and forth. It would just stick. So you want to spin it back and forth like that and lift up every now and then just to bring it out. The lapping compound's making it so it doesn't stick. Lift it up, out, and keep doing that until you get a nice smooth surface. And if you can keep the damn suction cup on there. All right, let's see what we got so far. See if we can make any progress. Now you can kind of see the shiny part right there on the inside edge. So we still have a long ways to go to get that outside edge. All right, I'm gonna bring you in so you can see this a little better. You kind of see the ridge around, or how that area right there to there has been working its way in. So you can compare it to that side where it's not, doesn't have a ring yet. So I'm not sure how far in. So let me look at the valve again. So you kind of want as much of that surface as possible sealing. So we got a ways to go to make it work. But it's definitely doing something. We just got to keep working at it and see how far down we can go to get it to go in right and go to seal better. All right, well you can see the seat is definitely getting a little higher up on there, so it's getting a little wider, which is good. And on the valve, definitely a little more shiny there. So got a long ways to go, and we got 12 of them to do just on this head. So I'm not going to film all that, obviously, because it's just going to take a while. If I could figure out a better way of doing it, I would, but I don't think there is a better way. Well, I mean, there is if you have a machine shop, but yep, it's just going to be a very tedious and long process. So I'll be back when I get a few more of these done. All right, so I got 2 of these lapped now. Probably have to do this one a little bit more. Not much more, but a little bit. However, something dawned on me last night. When I pulled the heads off, when I pulled the radiator out, no water, no coolant spilled anywhere. There was still some in the radiator, like I dumped some out. You saw that in one of the videos I showed. Some of that still, so the radiator still had some in it. The only place I saw that, it could have lost coolant from was where the radiator went bad. So where'd the rest of it go? Did it all boil over and boil off through that one leak? Or was there something I'm missing here? So I think our next step is we're gonna pull this engine out. So get that out of there, check it, make sure there's nothing broken on it, and like where the heck all the water went, because there's none like down inside the cylinder, down inside here in the water jackets, anywhere on the back or the front. So where did it go? And what happened to it? So my wife said it didn't overheat on her. She checked the temperature when it stalled on her, and she pulled over, but she said it wasn't even hot then. It was only like midway on the mark on the gauge. So what's that tell me? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know where all the water went. I can't imagine it all went out through that freaking little hole. But you never know. You saw the mess up here from the blowing. But what would cause the engine to not have compression and stop, not even try to turn over or try to catch? So That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull the motor out next. Shouldn't be too hard because the transmission's held in with that mount right there and one over here. I might have to hold it up in the back somewhere, but I'll get to that. I'll worry about that when I get to it. But we should be able to pull this block out. We'll pull the starter off so you can disconnect the flex plate from the torque converter and then go from there. We'll see what it takes to get this thing off. But yeah, I think that's the next step, is gonna pull the motor out so we can check it over, because where'd all the water go? All right, so before we pull the motor, we have to get all this other stuff out of the way. The battery tray, the starter, the AC compressor. Luckily the power steering pump's already off. I had to take that off to do the timing belt. Most of the wiring's out of the way. The transmission's gonna stay in its place. I still don't know what the heck that jug is for, because windshield washer's over here. What the heck is that jug for? Maybe rear windshield washer, but there's no cap or nothing on it. I have no idea what that actually is for. So something I have to investigate. But yeah, so that motor mount, the front motor mount, is attached to the transmission. So that should hold up the transmission pretty well. If I have to tie it up someplace else, I might have to, but so far it shouldn't be too hard. I think it should just unbolt and come right out. I'll remove this water assembly here. This, I think is that the thermostat housing? I don't know. Yeah, it must be, because I haven't taken the thermostat off yet, so it's not part of that other piece. So yeah, let's get to it and get this thing out of here, see if we can find a hole or something that caused all the water to go out of it. All right, so I got the AC compressor out of the way. Look at all those bugs in there just from driving around Oklahoma. It's crazy how just everything collects everywhere on top of this engine. But so yeah, I got the battery out of the way, the starter out, the torque converter bolts aren't through that hole, so I gotta go underneath the car and see if I can find an access panel or something, figure that one out. That plate doesn't need to come off. That motor mount will have to come off eventually once I get the hoist hooked up. But other than that, got all the top bolts for the transmission out. There might be, there's one way down the side there I'll have to get behind the motor mount, behind the transmission mount there. So, but I'm gonna go underneath the car now and work on getting those out. If I figure out the torque converter bolts from under there, I will show you and let you know where those are at. But other than that, yeah, we got most of it ready to go. All right, so good news. Found an access panel right there. So I think I take these plates off here. We'll take these bolts off of this for the, that's an exhaust hanger right there. So take these out, take these bolts out here. And I think that is an access panel to get to the torque converter bolts. And there's like 1, 2, and 3 more bolts to disconnect the motor from the transmission. So we should be good to go. So we got that torque converter disconnect and like maybe 2 more bolts, 3 more bolts at the most, and we should be able to separate it, the transmission from the engine. So let's get that done. All right, so we got the 6 torque converter bolts out. Yes, there's 6 of them. I'm used to 3 or 4 on V8 engines, but so that's done, and we got that bolt right there, and then the motor mount bolt over here. And we should be able to separate it. I'm probably put a jack under the transfer case right there, but well, I don't know if it's transfer case, but the transaxle, that's a differential basically for it. So yes, I think there's only that 1 bolt left. It's keeping this motor together next to, or keeping it connect. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it connected to the transmission. Man, I'd say it's too early, but it's really not that early. But anyways, let me get well, first I gotta get the engine hoist out because we need to support this now. All right, so if you look real close, you can see the motor starting to separate from the transmission now. I started loosening the very last bolt down there and it started splitting apart, so I gotta jack up underneath the transaxle now. And I get the engine hoist in here. Hopefully I can maneuver it around the jack. I'll probably come in from this side over here, like in this area. But yeah. she's pretty much ready to come out. So just that one bolt down there, or the motor mount. And I don't know if I'll take it off probably take it off the engine. Take that bolt out right in there, those 2 bolts. And that, yeah, I'll take the whole thing off. That way it's not getting in the way of everything. And that should be it. Unless axle mid bearing attached to the motor. I'll have to check that real quick. Okay, so a little bit of bad news. This bracket that holds the mid bearing for the passenger side CV axle needs to come off. However, the bolt on this side is behind the axle, and I can't move it far enough away to get a tool on there, I don't think. Maybe a low profile wrench or something, but I don't think I have anything to go in there. So I'm gonna have to pull the transaxle. That's not that bad, but it's not gonna be fun either. So let's see if I can get that out just by using a tool of some sort on there, but I don't think anything can fit in there. But I might try it with my low profile pass-through wrenches, but I don't think it's gonna work. So there you have it. That little tiny motor's out. And we're left with an empty space. I'm gonna probably tie that transmission up somehow so I can get the jack out from underneath there. But one thing you gotta do is, I thought I could leave that bracket on there, but it gets caught on the frame rail right there. And there's a bolt around the side, that one right there. And then another bolt out the front right here that you gotta get out. So yeah, that was kind of a pain in the butt. But once that was that, it kind of just a matter of maneuvering it and centering it right there, and it came straight up out. And there was a couple connectors for the crank sensor and a temp sensor and something else underneath there. There's 3 sensors here, here, and here. And they were so gooped up with trash and garbage and mostly mud and grease, but you know what I'm talking about. And I couldn't get the damn connectors off, so I ended up popping them off with the door panel tool, one of those. Was able to pop them off with that. Probably damaged them, but they were already damaged, so can't really do much more damage if they're already damaged, right? Anyways, got the motor out, so I don't think I got bolts to be able to put on a stand right now, but because those are, I don't know what the size are though. I think they might be M12, but it could be M11. The head bolts are M11 by 1.75. But anyways, the motor's out. So that much closer to figuring out, maybe, what actually went wrong with this thing. All right, so like I said, we got the motor out. The only problem I have is I can't find any bolts locally that are M12 by 125 fine thread to fit in here to put it on an engine stand. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet, but for now it's kind of at a standstill. I can get back to lapping the valves, I guess, but I was trying to avoid that because it's a pain in the butt and it takes forever. So anyways, but that's where we're at right now with that. And the motor is out, engine bay is empty except for the transmission. I'm thinking about rolling this out and pressure washing it if I decide to go that far, but I don't know yet. Yeah, is it really worth it? I don't know. I got the transmission chained up to the strut tower, so it's good enough to hold it up. And there's really not that much pressure on it. Like I can actually pull on it, so it's not like it's putting a lot of pressure on it anyway. So, but yeah, this is where we're at, and I got crap everywhere right now. Need to clean up, and of course Dick's over here making all kinds of noise. Had to pull the half shaft out, or the CV axle out from the passenger side in order to pull the motor, because that bracket right there for the mid bearing for that shaft. So that thing right there. So yeah, that had to come out, but it's out. Now I just got to figure out a way of mounting it to an engine stand. And where I live, there isn't a whole lot of choices for bolts like that. It's one thing I miss about San Diego is I Worked right across the street, or right across the parking lot from a Baba bolt, which, you know, you could walk in there and get any bolt you needed anytime. But not here in Oklahoma. They only have 7/16 fine thread stuff here. It's crazy. They don't do fine thread, apparently. But, yeah, we'll figure something out eventually. I ordered some from Amazon, but they ain't going to be here till like next week. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Well, it just reached the point where, you know, the whole, depending on how much money I want to spend on this, just got to the point where I'm not going to spend the money on it. I don't know if you remember in a previous video, I talked about this buildup on this one cylinder head. I thought it was just carbon buildup. Now I got the block out and I can see the back of the motor. I saw this on the piston. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's the same buildup. But then as I look closer, and you take a look at this piston here, see how it's full there? See how there's a big chunk missing right there? So there's our problem. We lost a piston, and I am not going to spend the money to replace a piston, which because it basically means a rebuild. And yeah, it's not really worth it. Like I said, we're getting a new car anyway, so. But I'm glad I found the actual issue. I don't know how or why that happened. It's not from it hitting the valves, so I don't know. Maybe I had a detonation issue with the bad coil or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely a bad piston. So that's actually pretty nice because now I don't have to worry about doing any more lapping on these valves. I started doing this cylinder here. I got most of them about halfway done. But yeah, that new finding from this mess here to that mess there is enough to say, yeah, I quit on this one. I'm not gonna do any more with it. Yeah, that's about it. Well, as unfortunate as that is, that's gonna end our video because I'm not gonna go any further as far as repairing this because that's a complete tear down and rebuild of the bottom end. Plus probably work on the heads too. So that's gonna do it for this video. So unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to bring this one back, at least not with this motor. So on that note, if you like this video, go and leave a like down there, leave me a comment, let me know what I can do better, and subscribe while you're at it. So again, thank you for watching this far. I appreciate you all supporting me in this. And until next time, I will see you all later.